Hi guys, it's Steve from Extreme Car Cleaning, and today I'm working on this 56 Chevy. Now what this is in for is a little bit of touch-up work on the paint. So what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to remove a little bit of dirt out of this paint. Now before you tackle something like this, what you want to do is you want to measure all the paint so you know where you're at, because something this old probably has been painted. And you want to also know where the body filler is in the car so you can avoid those areas, because it throws off the thickness of the paint and it's hard to gauge how much material there is. So the best way is to err on the side of caution, take as little material off as possible, and just try to reduce the defects as much as you possibly can. You can't get everything out of this car because we don't really know how thick the paint is. If this had been taken down to the bare metal and then repainted, we would get readings of 5 to 6, but that's not what the case is here. This has had work done to it, and I am going to show you what I'm talking about. I'll show you one area of this car that we noticed, and I'll show you what I mean when I say the thickness of the paint. Now as you can see here, between the outer layer of paint and the metal, so it says right there, there's a thick layer of putty, okay? So this has had body work done to it. So like I said, to gauge how much the top layer of paint is very difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very gentle with this. Now, where there's dirt in the paint, and I will show you that in a second, what we're going to do is we're going to take some 2000 grit paper and we're going to level that down just a little bit, and then we're going to polish it back from there. Stuff like this right here, that's the stuff we're going after. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to level that, like I said, with a 2000 grit paper, just lightly, and then we're going to polish it back from that point. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm looking for the imperfections in the paint, and I'm just putting a little piece of tape down so that I don't miss anything. That way there, when I come back later to fix it, I can double check. I am going to check this whole vehicle over after, but I'd kind of like to get the worst of it out so that I have a lot less to correct later on. Right now I've got 100,000 lumens of light bouncing off of this car. So if I'm not seeing it in my shop, I'm not going to see it outside. This car is going to a whole pile of car shows, so we want to get this finished as clean as we possibly can with what we have to work with. Now don't forget, like I mentioned earlier, okay, we don't know how thick this paint is. So what we're going to do is just essentially level it, make it nice and smooth, and a very, very light compound and a very, very light polish. We're not going to dig into this with a heavy cutting compound. We're not going to sand it with 1500 grit paper. We're going to go with a 2000 and be very gentle working our way back. The main objective of this is just to level these defects in the paint. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to finish up my edges so I can stay away from the chrome and the trim. Like when I'm sanding, I don't go right near the edge. I try and stay away at least an inch. That way I've got a little bit of edge here that I can polish over and smooth it all in. I'm going to finish this roof with the larger polisher. I'm going to go with my rotary, and then I'm going to finish it. I'm going to cut it with the rotary. I'm going to finish it up with a DA. But yeah, right now what I'm doing is just using the 3 just to go around the edges here and kind of clean this up so that I'm not going to be going near that with a heavier polisher. I don't know if you can tell from the sound, but I only have this at half trigger. You don't want to go too fast with it, because the faster you go, the less control you have. And especially when you're doing your edges here, you want to be nice and slow so that you can get a very good cut, but you've got really good control over it, and then you're not going to be hitting the chrome or hitting the edges on the rest of the trim. Like I mentioned earlier, the main objective of this is just to level these defects in the paint, because there is a lot of body filler, and this has had a second paint job. This is not factory original, so because of that fact, you don't want to be cutting too heavily into the paint. All you want to do is reduce the defects so the car looks nice outside, and then you've accomplished what you're trying to do. I dial my rotary in at 1200 RPM. I take nice slow passes, and that gives me maximum cut, and I've got total control over the machine. And it gives me the results that my customers are looking for. When I'm working on something like this, I like to take multiple light cuts. This way I can ensure I'm getting the proper cut that I want, and I can adjust my pads or polish to get the results I'm looking for. With all the different areas I have to work on in this car, it takes multiple polishers to get the job done. Because sometimes I need a rotary, sometimes I need a DA, sometimes I need a 3-inch, a 1-inch, or a 5-inch to accomplish the job efficiently and effectively. Okay. I'm going to try and fix this here. Man, it's a tight spot, man. I'm going to try and just do it over the edge where you can see it. When I'm working on something really difficult, that's when I really slow down, take my time, and then try to get the very best results that I possibly can. Because it's not going to happen if you try and rush it. You have to be very careful when you're working on something that's delicate. I love the feeling of anticipation when I'm waiting to see how well my results turned out. Oh, perfect! Each vehicle and paint have unique challenges, and I find the best way is to just work through it, take your time, and you'll end up getting the very best results possible. When your movements with the polisher look fluid and smooth, that's when you know you're going to get the very best results, because you're getting maximum cut and you're going to get a very nice clean finish. Here you can see I'm using a Rupes polisher. I've got it dialed in at 3, which is 4,000 RPM. It's a very well balanced machine. I find it gives me a nice smooth cut. The Genie Color Classic pen is fantastic for doing touch-ups because it puts just enough paint right where you need it. When I'm polishing, I like to finish one complete section before I start on another. A pad washer is a very amazing tool because it cleans the pads very well, it does it very quick, and then you're not wasting a lot of time and you can get right back to the job at hand. Doing what you love every day is the greatest feeling there is. I wiped down the entire vehicle with SB3 alcohol prep to make sure that the car was ready for ceramic coating. Using a good prep is important because it gives you a nice clean surface for your ceramic coating to properly bond to. I always use a fresh applicator when I'm applying my ceramic coating, and I apply it in a circular motion. That way it reduces the chance of getting any high spots. Thoroughly remove your coating. Make sure that your primary rag is disposed of when you're finished, because it will get saturated with ceramic coating. And always wear gloves when you're doing the primary wipe. Inspect it thoroughly in your final wipe down and make sure there's no high spots so that the vehicle looks fantastic. Hey, are you done yet? Am I done? Are you done?
God, buddy. Over the moon. I can't believe it.
Okay, so we got a pass?
I think we got an A1, bud.
It was a pleasure, Mike.
Thanks,
Take
Dean.
care.
I really appreciate it.